Hi everyone and welcome to Joe Reviews. Today we're looking at the Normatec Elite by Hyperice. As far as compression boots go, these are one of the most popular in the market. Currently, I'm in marathon training mode and putting in about 30 to 40 miles a week. I've noticed my legs aren't as fresh as they once were and wanted to see if compression boots could aid in my recovery. However, as anyone who's considered purchasing compression boots knows, they come with a bit of a price tag. These ones retail for about $1,000. Fortunately, I was able to snag a pair of these when they were on sale for $100 off, but it's still a steep price tag. So, for that kind of money, are the Normatec Elite worth it? That's what I want to cover today, so let's get into it. But first, the unboxing. Packaged in cardboard that's wrapped in plastic, I was surprised this box wasn't bigger than what it is, although it felt heavy. Once I had the cover off, I was able to open the box. Visible right away are both left and right boots, each inside a plastic bag. Tucked in between the boots is a drawstring bag made for carrying the boot. Underneath these items is the charger and the instructions. Once I had everything out of the box, I opened up the bags with the boots. I was impressed with how well these are folded and compact, although in the back of my mind, I thought they'll never be this folded tightly again. I unfolded both and laid them out. Then I charged both legs. The charger can charge both legs at the same time. On the control module, there is a battery level indicator. These boots were pretty much fully charged out of the box, which was great, as then there's no waiting to use them. Before I dive into first use, I just wanted to cover a few things about the Normatec Elite. These are primarily made of nylon, which does feel a little plastic-like. Your legs can feel a bit warm after extended use in these, but I'll get into that more later on. Each boot is fairly light, but the control unit is where the weight is. Each boot weighs 3.2 pounds. On each boot is a zipper that extends the complete length of the boot, which makes it easy to take on and off. I find the zipper to feel solid and quality built, which makes using it easier. At the top of each boot is a tag that indicates either left or right boot. I went with a standard size boot, which is meant for people between 5'4" and 6'3". There is a short size for people under 5'4", and a tall size for people over 6'3". The control unit on the Normatec Elite is what separates these boots from a lot of other compression boots on the market and from the Normatec 3 legs. Instead of having this large control module with hoses connected to the legs, the Normatec Elite has a small control unit on each leg. I find the control unit pretty simple to operate. To turn on the legs, just press the power button located on the side of each control module. There's a sticker to indicate where it's located. Once turned on, the legs are automatically paired and synced. On each control unit, there are 3 settings buttons. The left button controls the level of intensity of compression, essentially how tight the boot squeezes on your leg. This can range from 0 to 7. Out of the box, it was initially set to 3. I'd say that feels like a good spot to start for most people, especially if you've never used compression boots before. This level can be adjusted while the boot is running, so no need to wait until a session is over to change the level of intensity. Next to the intensity level is session time. You can adjust duration in 15-minute increments from 15 minutes to an hour. Just like the level of pressure, you can adjust the time during use. If you want to go for, say, 20 minutes, you can either set the time for 30 and then press the stop button after 20 minutes has passed, and then just turn off the unit. Or you can set the device for 20 minutes using the app, which allows changes in increments of 5 minutes. Then the last button controls the zone boost feature. How this works is there are 5 zones in each boot. Zone 1 is your foot and ankle. Zone 2 is your calf. Zone 3 your knee. Zone 4 is the lower quad. And Zone 5 is the upper quad. By selecting a zone, and only one zone can be selected at a time, the boot will add 60 seconds of massage time to that area, plus a little extra pressure. This is especially useful if you have a sore spot on your leg that needs a little extra attention. You can turn this feature off during use or select a different zone. Besides those buttons is the start-stop button, as mentioned before. Also, on each side of the start-stop button is a little light. To the left, the white light indicates the legs are synced, and then to the right is a blue light to indicate that it's connected to the app. One more thing to talk about before getting into actually using them is battery life. It's rated for up to 4 hours of use. There is a battery level indicator on the outside of the unit, 5 lights in total to view the level of charge. If you run the battery dead, it will take about 2 to 3 hours to fully charge. So after unboxing and unpackaging everything, I charged them briefly, but realized these have more than enough charge for initial use, so I decided to test them out. I started out with a 15-minute option at level 3. I didn't do the zone boost right away or connect it to the app. After turning on both units, I pressed the start button. Both units make a clicking sound and it begins to inflate air into the first chamber of the foot. It eventually squeezes the foot and then will deflate, moving up to the ankle, inflating that chamber, then deflating and moving up to the calf, repeating the cycle until it goes all the way to the upper thigh. After this, it repeats the whole cycle again. To me, it felt like a gentle massage. As the chambers in the boot filled and deflated, it gently squeezed different sections as it moved up my leg, and then started all over again at the foot. My legs felt great during use of the boots, but 15 minutes was too short, and the level of intensity for me was too low. But it was great to at least see what that level of intensity felt like and adjust from there. One thing I noticed, I will say the sound on these surprised me. I thought it'd be louder. I could comfortably watch TV with these running and not feel like the noise was too distracting. However, the same probably couldn't be said for other people in the room, I'd imagine. My watch showed the sound produced by these boots was around 61 decibels, or similar to the sound of a normal conversation or an electric toothbrush. Once the time is up, the boot will continue to massage the legs until the last chamber fills up, which is the upper leg chamber. Then, finishing cycle will show on the screen and the boots will deflate. The boots don't fully deflate, which is a bit of a letdown, as this means you have to manually deflate the boots. To do this, you have to fold the boots and squeeze the air out of the compartments. Most of the time, I don't do this, as this is somewhat time consuming. I just take the boots off when I'm done and store them under my bed without folding them. By the time I use them again, the air has escaped the chambers and they are ready to use. Once they are fully deflated, it's a lot easier to fold up the boots and store them in the drawstring bag, which was included. Since its initial use, I've used these boots quite a bit for recovery. And before I cover what, if any, benefits I've experienced, I think it's helpful to at least briefly cover what the science says on compression boots. There's been a few papers and studies published on compression boots and their effectiveness for recovery. Unfortunately, results are at best mixed. I have the studies linked below, but what they essentially say is that there is little or no difference in performance of individuals who use what they call intermittent pneumatic compression boots, or IPC boots, versus those who don't use them. They concluded that IPC boots don't reduce exercise-induced muscle damage. However, they admit that they may temporarily help with delayed onset muscle soreness. This part sounds a bit contradictory. How can you say they don't help with muscle soreness, and yet they may help with muscle soreness? The studies concluded that immediately post-run, these devices helped with muscle soreness, and groups that used IPC boots had less muscle soreness than those who didn't use the boots. But after a day or more, there was no difference in reported soreness. From this, it appears that if you have a long race or an intense day of physical exercise, the boots will help with immediate soreness, but you may not necessarily notice a difference the next day or further on. Lately, I've been using these boots later in the evenings after work. I do my runs in the morning, so it's around 12 hours later before I can use the boots. After reading these studies, I think I noticed more of a difference if I were to use these boots right after running, but since my schedule doesn't allow for that, I can only speak on what I've experienced when using these hours after a run. I find I like going for half-hour sessions best, or up to 40 minutes. Any longer than that, I feel like my legs get warm and they want to sweat in these. It's more of an issue when wearing shorts and being barefoot in the boots, but if I wear pants and socks, the boots are more comfortable, at least in my experience, and then I also don't sweat. I like to keep the level of intensity at 6 or 7. It feels like I'm getting a good massage without it feeling like too much pressure or any discomfort. I also prefer using the zone boost, usually in my upper thigh or calf. That's typically where I have the most soreness after runs and working out, and I find a little extra attention to those areas to be beneficial. When the boots inflate around my thighs, I can feel the blood pumping in my legs, which means it's doing what it's designed to do, move blood and increase circulation. After my use, I do notice my legs feeling a bit more refreshed and better overall. I'd say this lines up with what those studies have concluded as well. There's less soreness, and I find it easier to move around after wearing. I do use a massage gun as well, and I think these boots leave my legs feeling better overall versus the gun. Although I will say I use the boots for longer bouts than I do the massage gun. I use the app quite a bit when I'm using these boots. Typically, I'm using it to adjust the duration to a specific time that I can't do on the boot module. The app is pretty simple in terms of options. Other than the time, you can activate zone boost and modify what zones are active. You can also start and stop using the app if you prefer. Once I had an issue with it not connecting to one of the boots. I've only had one issue so far, and that was one boot not connecting, but since then I've been able to connect both boots no problem. I find the app better connects to the boots once they are turned on and before you start a session. Besides these compression boots, Hyperice also makes the Normatec 3. As I mentioned earlier, the main difference is the Normatec 3 has hoses that connect to a large control unit. This makes it a bit more difficult to travel with. However, it costs around $200 less. So if you don't plan on traveling with these boots much, you might be better off saving some money. One other plus about the Normatec 3 is that you can have other attachments for your arms and hips. So if you're looking to get the same kind of treatment for other parts of your body, the Normatec 3 would be the better option, as you can't get those attachments for the Elite. These Normatec Elite compression boots are not a cheap investment, so then the main question is, are they worth it? My legs feel better after use, but do they feel $1,000 better? Okay, maybe that's not a fair question, but I keep thinking, was I better off spending that kind of money on these boots or using that money towards a massage every few weeks or once a month? Maybe I'd be better off at the massage, but I can use these boots for hopefully years to come. A couple things I do know about these boots is they seem well constructed, easy to use, and give you plenty of options for how long and intense you want your session to be. Maybe some of the benefits I get from these are just in my head, But does it matter if I'm feeling better? My suggestion is, if you for sure know you want compression boots, these are great, but try and hold out for them to go on sale and save a little money. If I had to rate the Normatec Elite, I'd give them an 8 out of 10. That's it for my review on the Normatec Elite. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions I didn't answer. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you for the next video.